keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Is it going to be Gabriel over the next 4 or 5 weeks? Or is it going to be...
I know.
Is it going to, but that's where they're at right now. Because that mentality, changes. We go from rebuild at 1-3 to all of a sudden at 2-3, the bell goes off, and he, in his head, probably drinking a beer at night, goes, hey, I can get this team to the playoffs.
You listen,
but that's the way these coaches think.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure, and that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At this event, people from Amazon and Alexa made it very clear that in addition to Sports Highlight coming up, you will be able to perhaps buy sports tickets to events, buy movie tickets, arrange fantasy football teams, and I think somewhere down the road, maybe not too far down the road, given the NBA on Prime deal, they will allow sports betting on the television set through Alexa Plus.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Great to have you here. Today's unofficially Legacy Wednesday. We'll explain what that means to you in just 1 second. Tyrone A. Johnson is always hanging out as well. Well, for the last 3 days, everybody that's anyone that's got a pulse, has been talking about what? Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees, and when's Aaron Judge going to have his Yankee moment? When's Aaron Judge going to come up in the clutch? When's Aaron Judge going to stop hitting singles and walking and striking out with the bases loaded and get a big hit in a big moment? And then last night, with the Yankees season about to come to a crushing end, down 6-1 in the 4th inning, and you get some pathetically bad defensive plays from the Toronto Blue Jays to open up the door. Number 99 said, I'm your Huckleberry, and he decides to flex, and he flexes on a 2-strike pitch high and inside and takes the ball 350 feet. There you go right there, hitting the foul pole, tying the game at 6-6, and saving not just the Yankees season. They were not to win last night's game, of course, 9-6. It was Jazz Chisholm that gets to break the go-ahead home run a little bit later on in the game. But he saves the Yankees season, and at the very same time now has the signature Yankee moment. If they lose tonight, they won't. If they lose on Friday, Game 5 against Toronto, they might. At least Aaron Judge will go to bed and wake up the next morning knowing we can no longer say he's not clutch. He has now had his legacy-defining postseason moment. And oh, by the way, now that we have played a handful of games in the postseason, Aaron Judge is batting .500. Excuse me? That's right, a power hitter who hits 50-plus home runs damn near every year, who hit one .350 yesterday to save the Yankee season, is also batting .500. I believe that's some sort of postseason record. You can check me on that, Google it, ChatGPT it, and get back to me. But now there's nothing left to say. Aaron Judge could go 0 for 4 tonight and embarrass himself up at the dish, and he's now at least had the moment. He has single-handedly saved the Yankee season. And while I say single-handedly, I kind of want to retract that just for a second, because there's somebody else that also deserves credit for the New York Yankees surviving last night. Looked completely listless. Carlos Rodon was terrible, as a lot of Yankee fans expected. Can't really trust him in a big spot. Had a great year, big spot. He reverts back to being the guy you can't trust, right? Anthony Volpe, only guy on the roster that can't connect bat to ball against 10 different relievers last night. But there is a guy who might have been fired, frankly, had the New York Yankees lost to the Blue Jays and been swept in the ALDS. It wouldn't have been a deserving firing, but I know the Yankee mob, the fan base of the Yankees, would have gone on local radio day in and day out demanding that this man be fired. But how about a little love? How about just a teeny bit, a little respect from my guy, personal friend, Aaron Boone? Because last night we were privy to an absolute master class when it comes to managing a baseball game. And I'm going to give you a great comparison between the two managers, okay? Aaron Boone pulls Carlos Rodon with 1 out in the 3rd inning, okay? The New York Yankees are in big fat trouble here because they're now down 6-1, right?
Yep.
And he goes to Cruz in the 3rd, gets an inning and a 3rd out of Cruz, who only gives up a single hit, no runs. Then he comes back with Doval, a guy no one is familiar with because he never pitches, right? Doval gives you an inning of 1 hit ball, no runs scored. Then he goes to Timmy Hill. Hill gives you an inning and a 3rd, gets the win last night. No hits, no runs, nothing. Then after Hill, he goes to Devin Williams. Devin Williams gives you an inning and a 3rd. No runs scored. And then he brings in Bednar to close it out, 1 2/3. And again, no runs scored. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pitchers, 5 after Rodon. And you had to get 6 2/3 of an inning out of your bullpen and not give up a single run. And Aaron Boone managed that perfectly. That was a PhD level masterclass at how to manage a bullpen. Flip the script. Go to the Toronto Blue Jays manager. When Bieber can't get out of the 3rd, he goes 2 2/3. They go to Flu Hardy. Flu Hardy does what? Gives up 2 runs. Then he goes to Varland. Varland's the guy that gave up the home run to Judge. How many runs does he give up? 2. Then he goes to Fisher. How many runs does Fisher give up? 1. Then he goes to Little. He gives up a run. He brought in 4 consecutive relief pitchers. Every one of them gave up a run to the New York Yankees. And now tonight at 7:08, thank God it's an earlier start, we can get to bed at a reasonable hour and do the show. Not that I'm complaining. I'm staying up anyway. But now, because the Blue Jays used 6 of their 10 relievers and 7 relievers in game 2, they're now going in a playoff game with what amounts to a bullpen game. The dude that gave up the Aaron Judge bomb last night is starting tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays. You have now woken up the Yankee offense, and the Yankee offense is going to pick up right where it left off. And when did it start? No one else is going to tell you this. It started in game 2 when the Yankees said, we might lose this game, but we're not going to go into that night silently. And they abused the Blue Jays bullpen in game 2 in a bad loss. So the Yankees are not afraid of the bullpen, and that's all they're going to get tonight. Tonight, for the second time this postseason, is an LOCK guaranteed lock. The New York Yankees are forced into game 5. All the mojo's on their side. The Blue Jay bullpen stinks. The Yankees know they stink. And it's going to be a runaway win tonight. We are getting a game 5, Tyrone.
So that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold. You go out on a limb right there. Now, I just want to ask you real fast.
Ask me anything you want, but it ain't bold. They're just talking truth.
No, that's bold.
When I talk about things I know to be factual, it ain't bold. It's just talking truth. Like, I got 10 fingers. It ain't bold to say it. I got 10 fingers. I'm like
you
a
control
donkey.
your fingers.
I got to tie it down to my knee. I ain't being bold. I'm just being accurate. And I'm being honest. But go ahead.
Now, you say the lock right there.
Go.
And you give it a lock. And everything you said about the bullpen is true.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
They're still down in the series.
Yes, they are.
All right.
But you cannot win the series when you win 2 games. You got to win 3. Much like I said against the Red Sox, when you sat here and said, they lost game 1. And I said, you got to win 2 to win the series.
For sure.
And the Yankees came back. They're undefeated in elimination games. Took back-to-back games against the Red Sox. Take the first elimination game against the Blue Jays. Tonight's an LOCK lock. Doesn't happen that often. 483-1 historically. You can add another little check mark to the box right there.
One more thing.
But you're seeing one team's got the mojo now. The other team's like, oh my God, our bullpen sucks. We know our bullpen sucks. We made a terrible decision not to put another starter on that postseason roster. Max Scherzer is in the dugout. He's not eligible to pitch. The New York Yankees are now in full control of this series. And I will say this, I want to be completely objectively honest here. When you come back from 6-1 down, the way they did, and win last night's game 9-6, and outside of Volpe, everybody contributes, right? Now you have to win tonight's game. You have to. You have to win tonight's game, or last night was for naught. You cannot waste one of the most clutch home runs in recent Yankee history and one of the great managerial jobs in recent Yankee history and then come out tonight and lose the series. Tonight is a must. Obviously, it's an elimination game, but it would be a complete waste of everything the Yankees did from the 4th inning on last night if the Yankees don't force a Game 5. And then in Game 5, all the pressure goes right back on Toronto. I still think the pressure's on the Yankees tonight, but it would be a complete waste if the Yankees no-show tonight and they don't win tonight's game. And look, you got Schlittler pitching, and he was money good at 12 strikeouts, right? In 5 innings a week ago?
8.
Whatever the heck it was. Yeah. You have a dominant young rookie pitcher going out for another great postseason moment, but now you have to win. What you've created is a situation. You cannot waste the good mojo from last night by losing tonight. Toronto's shaking. You can feel it. You can feel it. Toronto's shaking in the boots. Woo! I love it. And the Canadians are screwed.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
I'm done with the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not upset about it because they look vulnerable. I cannot believe this team is 4-0 because they could easily be 1-3. They are on their heels, and I can't believe they have not 1 but 2 double-digit victories in games they could have very well lost.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. It's one of those rare nights, and I'm a fake Yankee fan, but I am amped up. I got the butterflies in my stomach. I don't know how I'm going to pass the time all day just waiting for first pitch, and thank God it's an hour earlier, 7:08. And I would just say this. I do feel bad for Mariners fans and Tigers fans Game starts late because of the rain delay. And you're sitting there going, all right, finally, the game starts a couple hours late. Dig in, have your hungry man dinner, get on the couch, get your drinks all ready to go, and you're just moving along nicely. 4th inning, 5th inning, 6th inning, and then all of a sudden, FS1's like, listen, the Yankees are much more important than any other baseball franchise. Period. Stop. Maybe the Dodgers are a close second. And we have a chance to give the Yankees all of our attention on FS1. So they tell Tiger fans and Mariner fans, go find FS2. I worked for FS1, easy to find. It's in 70 million homes. Yeah. FS2, a little bit harder to find for some people, unless you have one of those remote controls that you could talk to. Yeah. That's a new thing, FS1, and boom, FS1 just comes on the screen. But I know a lot of Detroit Tiger fans and Mariner fans are like, come on. And I would say this to you people. A part of me feels for you.
Well, you should.
No, but I don't.
Why?
I don't, and here's why. Number one, FS1 made a business decision. The Yankees have dominated the landscape, especially this year from a rating standpoint. On Fox and ESPN. Baseball ratings were through the roof this year, held largely because of Yankee games and Red Sox games on TV. That's a fact, okay? And maybe a little Dodger action with Ohtani. But here's what always gets me. If you're a Mariner fan or a Tiger fan, and you're minding your own business watching the playoff game last night, Mariners are 1 win away from advancing now to the ALCS, first time, I think, in 25 years, right? 2001, I think, was the last time they got there when the Yankees beat them. But here's what I don't get. Is it that difficult to do this? Boop. I'm wondering.
Well, yes.
They made it very clear during the broadcast, because I was watching some of the game, waiting for the Yankee game to start, and they couldn't have been more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Clear?
More honest, more transparent and honest. Listen, when the Yankees-Blue Jays game starts, we are going to show that game on FS1, and we're going to ask you to just watch the game with the same announcers, just like one channel over to FS2.
If you have it, it's one channel.
On most cable channels, FS1, FS2, FS1, FS2. So I know everyone's bitching and moaning about, I can't believe you're making us watch the Yankee game. We're not making you watch the Yankee game. We told you for the last hour when the Yankee game starts, because you guys were in a rain delay to start off your game, that you're going to watch the remainder of your game on the next channel up on your cable guide.
But that's wrong.
That's not wrong. So here's the thing. If you're dying to watch Mariners Tigers, and obviously they have fan bases that are dying to watch them, they told you for an hour plus that the rest of the game is going to be on FS2. Is it that freaking hard to go like this on your remote, boop, or to hold down the button with the microphone on it and go FS2 or Detroit Tigers or Seattle Mariners? Like, what are you bitching about? I grew up in an era where we didn't have remote controls. And if you wanted to change the station, you had to stand up. You had to stand up. You had to walk over to the television set. You had to turn a channel.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. I didn't have the benefit of a remote control in the 1970s. And you guys are bitching about, oh my God, you're moving my baseball game to another channel. How do I possibly find that channel? Oh, I don't know. Maybe push one button on your remote. Maybe hold down the microphone button and simply say FS2 or Mariners or Tigers. You don't even have to move your fat ass off the couch to do it. But all I hear today is, wah. And by the way, good job by Fox. I totally applaud Fox, because Fox is in business. And Fox said, we have a choice. Show the most popular team in the biggest media market in America, or show two teams in Detroit and Seattle like anybody in America gives a rat ass about them. Wah! I had to push a button. Wah! I had to speak into my remote control. Quit bitching.
See, I'm a man of the people.
And you're a bitcher too.
No, I'm not. I'm a man of the people. See, that's what I guess I am. I care about the fans first.
I've won the Pulse of the People Award 7 times.
Yes,
You've never won it.
But in this case, I'm going to win it now.
Go ahead.
And for this reason. This is all you have to do. Just like you do in football. Everyone else in the nation, you get the Yankees. If you're in Seattle and Detroit area, the game stays where it is.
That's not how it works. You know why?
Why?
Because the
They do it
Yankees
in
are more
football every
popular.
Sunday. They do it in football every Sunday.
The Yankees are more popular in Detroit than the Tigers are.
Fox does it.
And
I love Fox.
No, the Yankees are more popular in Seattle than the Mariners
The Cowboys are more popular than everybody, but not everybody watches the Cowboys. If your local team's playing, then you watch your local team.
How dare you?
So how about just Detroit and Seattle? They keep the game, and everyone else has to change.
It doesn't work that way. We're trying to maximize the total possible viewing audience, and nobody gives a rat's ass about Detroit and Seattle, which is why you put them on FS2. Like, if you want to make a real argument, the argument should have been, why not put Yankees Blue Jays on Fox? On the mothership.
Yeah, I found out why they couldn't do that.
I don't know why they didn't. I don't know the contractual reasons behind that. But if I really wanted to, abuse the Yankee fandom, I would put Yankees on Fox. I'd leave Seattle, Detroit on FS1. But you're not going to attack FS1 on my watch. Not today.
I'm not attacking them.
You can attack them for canceling breakfast ball if you want. I'm good with that.
I'm upset about that.
But you cannot attack them for doing what's smart and right. And again, you see, we have a generational gap here. I'm a little bit older than you. It's fine. I accept that. I was born first, okay? But are you that lazy that when you're sitting on the couch with your beautiful wife watching baseball last night, that rather than just go boop on a remote control or speak to your remote control, remember, I grew up in an era you had to walk to the TV.
I also remember that.
You don't remember that.
Yes, I do.
Because you're like, how dare you make me change the channel?
I watch the Yankees.
How dare
I didn't want to watch Detroit.
How dare you make the fine people of Seattle and Detroit, actually push a button. If you want to watch the Mariners and Tigers that badly, and I respect the fact in Detroit and Seattle, that's what you want to watch.
That's right.
Then don't tell me it was that difficult to push a freaking button and change the channel. I had to walk to the TV to change the channel. And are you guys sitting there with your feet up, drinking your Grand Marnier? You're like, oh, I can't believe they're moving it to FS2. I can't believe you're making me touch a button.
Well, don't turn the knob too fast.
Come on now, crazy people. I applaud FS1 for making the right decision there. Plus, not sure I can find FS2 either. Much more coming up right after this.
Shedeur Sanders will be starting for the Browns by week 9. I am buying this. I am buying this absolutely. At a certain point, Joe Flacco just not the answer. We know they already made the change. Dylan Gabriel is starting this week. We know that. But maybe a team needs a quarterback, and they're willing to trade for Joe Flacco for some level of stability, and then we simply get nothing out of Dylan Gabriel. He is a rookie quarterback when it's all said and done. Maybe there's just no production from him. So why not just move on to a different rookie quarterback that you have just to see what you have? And then, as George, as you mentioned up at the top, you have to evaluate going into next year's draft. So I will absolutely buy this.
The next 4 weeks, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami, New England. I mean, the question is this. If they truly believe that Gabriel could be a future starter, you got to give him more than 4 weeks, right? That's 4 weeks is not enough. Minnesota, that's a rough game, all right, being played, England this week. Pittsburgh, they haven't have a defense. Miami is not very good. New England's supposed to have a good defense, hasn't here. I want to sort of go. I mean, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to start at some point this week. I don't think it's going to be by week 10, although that does make sense here to name him the starter during the bye week, get him 2 weeks here. I'm going to go more, maybe double digits, week 12, week 14, somewhere around there. Because I'm going to want to give Gabriel a longer run. I think Gabriel might do some damage here against these lesser defenses here. So I like to give him a longer runway here. That being said, I do not think Gabriel is the long-term future of this team. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback at all here. I think he's a number 2 at best here. Sanders could be a number 1. I have doubts about him too. I think Sanders has a better shot. So by week 9, by week 10, I'll sell that. But if you're going to give me a couple more weeks, I would have bought it.
Fantasy Sports Today, Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on SportsGrid.
All Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone A. Johnson here as well. More baseball coming up before we skedaddle for the day, but we got to get into some football. Football used to be like the last bastion of unadulterated manhood.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's kind of one of the things that makes it so popular.
Still is.
Yeah, violence and drinking and guys being guys and, spitting on the field and, all that kind of stuff that we all love as guys. I saw the story today, though, that you guys all saw what happened this weekend with the Arizona Cardinal game.
Yeah.
Right, where the dude, Amari DiMarcado, running back for the Cardinals, goes like 70 yards for a touchdown. And unfortunately, like a handful of, dumb guys in the NFL decides to start the celebration a little bit early and fumbles the football right before he crosses the goal line. So Coach Gannon out there in Arizona, rightfully so, livid, like pissed beyond belief, and goes up to him on the sideline and gets up in his grill. And he's yelling and screaming. And he might have accidentally touched him with an index finger because he was so pissed off about it. And a couple other players come in and kind of separate him a little bit. And DiMarcado's clearly unconsolable because he knows he totally screwed the pooch. And then, of course, fast forward a half hour, they lose the game.
Yeah.
An embarrassing loss for the Cardinals, and a loss that may set them back from making the playoffs this year because they could be a wild card team this year, right? So to us, guys that have lived long enough to watch football, for a long time, that's just what happens on an NFL sideline. Guy makes a stupid play, costs them a touchdown, which then costs them the game. The coach, rightfully so, is livid about it, gets in the player's face. He's MFing him for sure. And yes, he did touch him. Not saying he didn't. He made contact with him. But the coach is also wearing a windbreaker. The football player's got pads and a helmet on, right? So it wasn't like he was like, yo, let's go and start fighting. He touched him. Afterwards, it's the big story. A, that DiMarcado messed up like that. And B, can't believe Gannon attacked him, verbally and physically on the sideline. The Arizona Cardinals then came out of the blue yesterday and announced that they have fined their head coach $100,000. And in doing so, in my opinion, you have now rendered him, what's the word I'm looking for? Incapable of being the head coach now of the Arizona Cardinals. You've now made him cuckolded is what you've done. You've now said, we have to be worried and concerned about our woke players now who are very sensitive to being yelled at by a head coach.
Woke?
Could you imagine if John Gruden were the coach, if Bill Parcells was the coach, if Bill Belichick was the coach, if Denny Green was the coach, or any of the, those guys that we've seen have fiery tempers on the sideline, right? They were who we thought they were. If Jim Mora were the coach, right?
Yeah.
But because athletes today are growing up in a different environment than we did growing up, and they're soft, frankly, and people get upset when a player's yelled at or touched by the head coach, the Cardinals come out and go, we're going to take the player's side in this one, and they fine the dude $100,000. And by fining him, you've now set up a divide. You've now made it impossible for Coach Gannon to discipline other players or to be pissed off when a player makes a mistake. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, we're fining coaches for yelling at players now? Isn't this the NFL? Isn't that part of it? If you're going to be a jackass and try to celebrate before you score a very important touchdown and it costs us the football game, what do you want the coach to say? I know, I understand what it's like. You wanted to celebrate. We all want to celebrate. But son, wait to celebrate until after you score. That's not what you do. You get in his face and you go, hey, dumbass, you cost us a football game. And in turn, that might cost me my job. We find that guy $100,000, and it's no surprise that it's the Bidwell family doing it. It's no surprise it's the Arizona Cardinals, arguably next to the Panthers, the worst football franchise in the NFL for a very, very long time.
Jets.
Yeah, put my Jets in there, too.
Yeah, the Jets are in there. Yeah.
I don't think Woody Johnson's going to find Aaron Glenn $100,000 because he cut the punt returner last week who fumbled the punt.
No, of course
or
not.
caught the ball on the 2. Oh, that was so mean of you to cut him. I'm going to fine you $100,000. You hurt that man's feelings. Like, what are we doing? Huh?
There are
doing?
ex-players your age who agree with the fine. What do you say to them?
Nobody agrees with the fine.
Jeff Saturday.
Who does?
Jeff Saturday.
Jeff Saturday's an idiot. Jeff Saturday's another failed head coach who ran right back to ESPN so that he could stay relevant in some matter. Probably a decent human being, but you know the guy I want on the sideline?
Who's that?
Have you seen this video of Greg Olson coaching his middle school son's football team?
I've seen that.
Awesome. He's a badass. That's an unacceptable play, Junior. Go run 30 laps. Like, it's football. Can we act like it's football? I'm so sorry I hurt Amir's feelings. He really tried his hardest. Get out of town. That's garbage.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
I'm done with the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not upset about it because they look vulnerable. I cannot believe this team is 4-0 because they could easily be 1-3. They go on their heels, and I can't believe they have not one but 2 double-digit victories in games they could have very well lost.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Fun Wednesday, yeah? It's also Legacy Wednesday. We'll get to that in just a little bit as Aaron Judge cements his legacy as a primetime player for the Yankees. He's now got 6 home runs in elimination games. No one in the history of baseball has ever had more. It's him and David Ortiz right there. And the Yankees are now 1 win away from forcing a Game 5, baby.
That's a lot.
Of course, he's never won a World Series, but my man is taking care of business when the Yankees are 3-0 in elimination games this year. A couple football things. You may have seen the crazy story, an interdivision trade yesterday, where the Cincinnati Bengals, who are frankly done, right? Their season's kaput, have finally realized that Jake Browning is not a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL. So they make a trade with the Cleveland Browns. And I know before, if you haven't seen this yet, no, not for Shadur Sanders. They traded for a guy that the Browns also acknowledge is not a starting quarterback anymore in the NFL, and that's old man Joe Flacco.
They did.
Who got benched for Dylan Gabriel. So now Joe Flacco, they're saying, is going to start this weekend.
Already.
For the Cincinnati Bengals, which shows you how pathetic the Cincinnati Bengals are. But in doing this trade, it also now amps up the obvious conversation, which is Shadur Sanders just got moved up the ladder.
He did.
1 rung from third-string quarterback to backup quarterback because there's only 2 quarterbacks on the roster now. Dylan Gabriel, who, to be fair, was average.
He was okay.
Out in London.
Yep.
In their loss against the Minnesota Vikings. Had some really good plays. Had some plays that he looked like a rookie, as they all do at some point. But now it's real. Now, for all of you out there that have been yelling and screaming out, the Browns are screwing Shedeur Sanders, and the Browns are trying to embarrass Shedeur Sanders, and this and that, and Shedeur's the greatest thing since sliced bread, all the nonsense that's been out there. Now he's a bad interception, a bad game away from the Browns going, all right, kid, it's your turn. And I'm wondering right now how much Shedeur Sanders fans, because there are a lot of people out there, many of them in the media, who are Shedeur fans because by proxy they're Deion fans or Deion ass kissers, who are now actively rooting for Dylan Gabriel to fail miserably so that Shedeur Sanders gets his crack. And that's the divide here. The people that want to see Shedeur Sanders start for the Browns are not Cleveland Browns fans. They're Deion Sanders fans. And I respect the fact that as one of the great athletes this country's ever seen, he has a lot of people that idolize him and love him and, preach to his gospel. I get it. I'm good with it. But it's funny to me that if you talk to diehard Cleveland Browns fans, they don't want Shedeur Sanders. Now, if he's better than Dylan Gabriel, yeah, they just want the better quarterback to play. They don't have an emotional connection yet to Shedeur Sanders. But it's interesting how the Cleveland Browns have gotten one of those obstacles out of the way now. Because don't forget, last week, Shedeur was still the third-string quarterback. Dylan Gabriel started. Flacco was the backup. Never got in, but Flacco is the backup. Now you're one away. Now you're in the conversation. If Dylan Gabriel looks incompetent, and who do the Browns play this weekend?
I'll have to look it up.
Just look it up real fast. If Dylan Gabriel looks...
The Steelers on the road.
So decent defense.
Yeah, on the road.
This will be a tough spot now for Dylan Gabriel. There's their schedule right there. Going up against the Steelers. Steelers have a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the specter of Aaron Rodgers, competing against him. If he spits the bit against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I can't see that. Who's up after Pittsburgh?
Then it's Miami.
That's
a soft spot to make a change.
The easiest team in the league, not named the New York Jets.
Yeah.
If Dylan Gabriel doesn't get the job done, and you have the Dolphins next. The Dolphins are the team that just last Sunday blew a 17-0 lead to the Carolina Panthers. Would that be the spot where Kevin Stefanski says, would everyone please just shut the F up? We're going to go to Shedeur Sanders.
I don't think so because the bye's not far away. I think they give him the Steelers game. They would give the Miami, they give them the Patriots bye week, and then coming out,
so
you might
give Dylan 3 more starts, so he'll have 4 starts.
Right.
If the offense still looks terrible.
And then it's the Jets after the bye.
By the way,
that would be the soft spot if you were going to go to Shedeur.
Yeah.
At all. If you're going to do it at all.
Unless Dylan Gabriel suddenly looks really good, or they view him as like the Jackson Dart of the Cleveland Browns, that would prevent Shedeur from playing,
Absolutely.
obviously.
Yeah.
But if he does struggle, and look, maybe he will, we'll find out. That's a very good point. You could start Shedeur, and then you have to commit to him, I would think, at that point against Miami. Or let's give Dylan Gabriel a legitimate fighter's chance. Mm-hmm. Give him 4 games. Yeah. 4 games, not against the greatest opponents, but decent football teams. And if he doesn't shine or improve the offense, go to the bye week. Give Shedeur 2 weeks to prepare for the New York Jets after the bye week.
In fact, it's better.
It actually becomes interesting.
It's Jets, Ravens, Raiders.
Ravens have the worst defense in football.
And the Raiders
are a joke, and the Jets suck too.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, now there's a chance Lamar's back for that game, but
they don't play against each other directly. Cleveland could end up being a kind of a must-watch team down the stretch in a weird way.
Here's what's weird. It's almost like they'd become must-see, I think, the first time Shedeur starts.
Yeah.
Because there's such a divide in this country about Shedeur Sanders as a 5th-round draft pick, the Deion element to it. There's probably a racial component to it as well that we don't deal with on this show because most of that stuff's silly when it comes to sports specifically. But I would want to see it too, but I'd want to see it for the wrong reason.
You want to see him fail? Or
Yeah.
See, I'm not rooting for or against.
I'm
not. Same with. I wonder about Dylan Gabriel because he's little.
He's like 5'10", 5'11".
He's a small, and he's not a big frame guy. But I don't have anything against him or Shedeur.
I'm going to keep it a buck here, as we always do.
Yeah.
I would watch the Browns. I'd put it on Red Zone. I would go find wherever the Browns play.
Yeah.
Let's hope. I could see that it being the Jets, kind of like the Baker Mayfield start against the Jets, came in at halftime and led the Browns to a win against the Jets on a Monday night, right, or a Sunday night. So let's hope it's not against the Jets. But I would make a point of watching it. But to be completely honest with you, I would do it from a standpoint of I want to be proven right. I want my opinion to be the right one, that Shedeur Sanders is not yet an NFL quarterback. And I have nothing personal against the kid. I have friends who are friends with the Sanders family who tell me he's a great kid, and I'd love him if I got to know him.
And Tom Brady thinks he's a great kid, for example.
I would love to be right. Which brings us now to the weekly power rankings in the NFL. We do this every Wednesday. It's your 5 top teams in the NFL. This is not based on record necessarily, just based on the old eyeball test. Who are the 5 best teams right now? And this obviously changes every single week. We have a newcomer to the power list. Number 5 are the Denver Broncos. Now, you're going to say to me, wait a minute, they don't even one of the 5 best records in the NFL. But the Denver Broncos have 2 losses on the very last play of the game, both with field goals. All right? And the Colt loss was obnoxious because the referees bailed the Colts out, gave them a second crack at the field goal, and they beat Denver. But Denver went to Philly and did something nobody else has done. They beat the Eagles, and Bo Nix is real.
Yeah.
Plus, you have a very good coach on the sideline. The Denver Broncos come in at number 5. At number 4, I think their quarterback, as I said on Monday, is the MVP of the league right now. They are 4-1, all 4 wins in the last minute, which is why they're 4th and not higher. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the 4th best team right now on the Craig Carton Show power rankings in the NFL. 3 teams left. Number 3, dropping down a spot this week, are your Philadelphia Eagles.
That's fair. They lost.
There was an emergency lunch meeting yesterday between Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown.
Emergency.
An emergency lunch meeting. They're trying to figure out how to get back on the same page. The Eagles know how to win better than anyone else, but they're broken right now. I'm not sure if it's a hangover from winning a championship
it's hard to
or
repeat.
something else, but the Eagles are a fractured family right now who had an emergency luncheon, so they come in at number 3. More on that lunch a little bit later on. At number 2, I've got, believe it or not, the comeback player of the year on the squad, as good a running team as there is in the league, Indianapolis Colts with Indiana Jones, Danny Jones at quarterback. They don't punt. They score more than any other team in the NFL. And the number 1 team, it ain't the Kansas City Chiefs, kids. They're out of my top 5. It's the Detroit Lions. Because the Detroit Lions offense is humming right now, and they're largely healthy, and their defense is top 10, and I love Coach Campbell, but the Detroit Lions right now are the best team in the NFL, and those are your weekly Carton Show Power 5.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played, it definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
We're getting a lot of optimism here, which I don't know about. This isn't a 21-year-old football player, a devastating knee injury that basically blew, the kneecap and also multiple ligaments. And I was like, surgery, awesome, be back for next year. He might be back for next year, but the Tyreek Hill we're used to, Joe, electric on the field where nobody can catch him. People are going to be catching him now, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Florida State put up 498 rushing yards on this defense. 8 rushing touchdowns, and they almost averaged 10 yards per carry.
Tough scene.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. It should be 60 to 7.
Yeah. Give me the 7.
I just gave you the 7.
Exactly. And
Are
miss
you
the extra
on this?
point. I'm thinking field goal and maybe a
But are
safety.
you on
Joe.
this? This is
Over
your best
3.5.
bet? Okay.
Didn't you read the screen?
I
What are you not
could
paying
barely
attention
read
to the
it.
show?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here as well. A little news and notes for you. There was an emergency lunch meeting between Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown.
Emergency.
Here's what's funny. They did it at like a local restaurant somewhere in Philadelphia, and then they were pissed that people reported it. Like, those three dudes cannot hide in the city of Philadelphia.
Of course not.
Like, they're the three most recognizable guys, not named Joel Embiid, in the city of Philadelphia. Right, and they're having lunch, and apparently got very animated between them.
And they were there for like 2 hours.
Yeah, and people are like, yo, there's an emergency luncheon, and it's animated. And they're trying to downplay it now. A.J. Brown didn't meet the media. He didn't show up in the locker room yesterday, but Saquon did. He's like, he goes, honestly, I wish people didn't know about it. But, yeah, we had lunch. And Jalen's like, it's just three buddies going out, but it wasn't. It's more than that because there's reporting, and it's kind of obvious that A.J. Brown's ticked off. He's not a part of the offense. The offense has not been clicking yet. Saquon has not had a 100-yard game yet. Had the touchdown reception last week, which gave them a double-digit point lead that they blew to the Denver Broncos. But there's obviously a problem there. And I applaud those guys for getting together as men, as adults, and saying, all right, listen, we just won a Super Bowl. Is it perfect? No. Are we 4-1? Yes. Should you get the ball more? Yes. And they tried to do that last week against Denver. It's the second time they've tried that. Second half against the Rams, they tried it also.
And it worked well
and
that time. Did not work last week.
But how come Devontae Smith wasn't at that meeting? Don't you think he wants the ball more?
Yeah.
So it's just funny to me. Sometimes some teams or people can't handle prosperity. They're not there yet, but there's something brewing where if they lose another game, they play the Giants this week, so they should probably right the ship with that.
Probably.
But if they lost to the Giants, and again, I don't think they will, if they lose to the Giants, would I love to be doing Sports Talk in Philly next week, because it's going to be Armageddon. So just keep an eye on that situation as the Eagles try to avoid their second straight loss. Number 2, a little preseason NBA for you here. This is a hit that you never see in the NBA. DeLon Wright, who's a rookie, playing a preseason, collides. I'm blocking on the kid who collided with him, but loose ball. And watch this video right here. Bang, top of the guy's head, hits DeLon dead square in the mouth. He was out cold, unconscious for a few seconds there. Bang, one more time.
It was a Jalen Clark who made contact with him.
Jalen, thank you. They are concerned that is a traumatic brain injury, like a football-type injury. He will be out, they're saying, most likely for the rest of the preseason. But I saw that, and of course had to watch it 50 more times because it's just crazy to see, like, he's out cold.
And bleeding from the eye. It's a lot.
Mouth blood, head blood, cut, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So thoughts and prayers out to DeLon, right? Who may not play for a little while, but dealing with something more serious than playing basketball. But I've never seen that on a basketball court like that.
Never before like that. Guys collide, they go down, they eventually get up. He couldn't get up.
Back to football. Interesting how again, style over substance, Odell Beckham Jr., who had a chance to be one of the great wide receivers, and injuries prevented that. He is not on an NFL roster, but it was announced yesterday that Odell Beckham Jr. and the NFL have agreed on a 6-game suspension for PED use last year.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about it like, you're not on a roster, so the suspension can't start until you're on an active roster, which also tells me that teams have reached out to him. What team? My opinion, Kansas City Chiefs.
Makes a lot of sense.
If he can still run routes, and obviously he's not what he used to be, but he's a competent athlete still, I would not be surprised, because Kansas City notoriously goes after some of the bad boys in the NFL, and they've had issues with some of their guys. Why Rashee Rice isn't playing right now. And maybe they view OBJ, believe this or not, as a veteran presence, maybe to help out.
Compared to those guys.
Worthy or Rashee Rice type of thing.
He's not getting arrested.
Right. He's not getting any more money. Right. He'll get league minimum.
Yeah, he'll get the minimum.
But don't sleep on the possibility that Odell Beckham signs with Kansas City, sits out the next 6 weeks because he's agreed to the PED suspension, and that would bring him into the fold right around late November. meaning 6 or 7 regular season games, as Kansas City may try to load up to make another run at it before the dynasty is over. And I'm just giving you a little heads up on that. Don't sleep on that as a possibility.
Yeah, real fast. Apparently, he had been fighting it behind the scenes, and they came to that deal since last season. Apparently, it has something to do with him not being available for a test. That's basically a positive test.
So just so you know how that works, like you could be on vacation with your family in Greece. If your name randomly pops up to be tested, you have to let the NFLPA know where you are.
Immediately.
And they will send a dude to your hotel room, no matter where you are in the world, within 24 hours to take your urine. And if you're like, look, I'm in Sri Lanka, you're available to give them urine. And they will come to you. Like, they're not saying get on a plane and come home. They're not saying we're going to, interrupt or totally ruin your vacation. But they are saying if you're not available in Sri Lanka or Turkey or the Middle East or Russia or Germany or Italy or Greece or Mexico, wherever you might be, it counts as a failed test.
It absolutely
and
does.
now you're looking at a 6-game suspension. So keep an eye on OBJ, I think, possibly joining the Kansas City Chiefs. And then one more story, going back to the Cleveland Browns. It's the first time that I'm aware of in over 30 years where an NFL team is going into battle and the only 2 quarterbacks on their roster are both rookies.
Yeah, the
last time that I'm aware that it happened was Troy Aikman and Steve Walsh.
And Walsh was the starter initially.
I don't know about that.
Walsh started.
I may fact check you.
I will.
I may fact check you that. But to my knowledge, it has not happened since then. And that was like 89 or something?
Yep.
So the Cleveland Browns, because the Cleveland Browns are going to Cleveland Brown, right? So they're playing the last 3 months of the season without a single veteran quarterback on the roster. How do you think Myles Garrett feels about that? You think he's like, I'm so glad I took the money? I'm so glad I'm going to go right from Cleveland to Canton. I don't have to leave the state of Ohio? Or you think he's like, son of a bitch, why did I do that? I could have gotten a lot of money playing elsewhere. But they're doing it. They have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And now that they traded Joe Flacco, nobody else, no veteran, is on the roster at all. They're telling me only got 30 seconds left. So I'll go back to baseball. They didn't announce it on the broadcast. We found out afterwards. But on one of the foul balls that went right over the screen and landed like first or second row behind home plate, did you happen to notice he didn't catch it on the fly, someone else dropped it, and then this guy got the ball. Did you notice it?
I did not notice it in real time.
Bad Bunny.
In real time.
The NFL halftime show, right there, circled in red. He's sitting there. Those are $1,500 face value tickets,
He couldn't
by the way.
find it, so he covers up.
He covered up.
Couldn't see
The
it.
other dude drops it, and then Bad Bunny's like, mi pelota, mi pelota, mi pelota, mi pelota, mi pelota.
Shedeur Sanders will be starting for the Browns by week 9. I am buying this. I am buying this absolutely. At a certain point, Joe Flacco just not the answer. We know they already made the change. Dylan Gabriel is starting this week. We know that. But maybe a team needs a quarterback, and they're willing to trade for Joe Flacco for some level of stability, and then we simply get nothing out of Dylan Gabriel. He is a rookie quarterback when it's all said and done. Maybe there's just no production from him. So why not just move on to a different rookie quarterback that you have just to see what you have? And then, as George, as you mentioned up at the top, you have to evaluate going into next year's draft. So I will absolutely buy this.
The next 4 weeks, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami, New England. I mean, the question is this. If they truly believe that Gabriel could be a future starter, you got to give him more than 4 weeks, right? That's 4 weeks is not enough. Minnesota, that's a rough game, all right, being played, England this week. Pittsburgh, they haven't have a defense. Miami is not very good. New England's supposed to have a good defense, has it here. I want to sort of go. I mean, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to start at some point this week. I don't think it's going to be by week 10, although that does make sense here to name him the starter during the bye week, get him 2 weeks here. I'm going to go more, maybe double digits, week 12, week 14, somewhere around there. Because I want to give Gabriel a longer run. I think Gabriel might do some damage here against these lesser defenses here. So I think give him a longer runway here. That being said, I do not think Gabriel is the long-term future of this team. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback at all here. I think he's a number 2 at best here. Sanders could be a number 1. I have doubts about him too. I think Sanders has a better shot. So by week 9, by week 10, I'll sell that. But if you were to give me a couple more weeks, I would have bought it.
Fantasy Sports Today, Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. A few minutes left. As you know, it's Legacy Wednesday. Last night, Aaron Judge cemented his legacy with the 3-1 bomb to get the Yankees back to 6-6. And, of course, the Jazz Chisholm home run gives them the lead. A couple other insurance runs after that. Yankees stave off elimination. Game 4 tonight in the Bronx at 7:08. So I really thought that was a legacy moment. Because all the negativity towards Aaron Judge has been he hasn't yet had, despite his illustrious double MVP career, that one postseason moment where Yankee fans go, he saved us, right? Jeter had tons of them, right? The 20s Yankees, the 50s Yankees, Reggie Jackson. All the great Yankees have had that moment. Last night, Aaron Judge had his legacy moment, and I think it's legacy-defining moment because no one can say now he's a choke artist in the postseason. He's not clutch in the postseason. It's only singles and walks with guys on base or bases empty, but when the bases are loaded, it's a strikeout, right? The dude's batting .500 and hit the game-tying home run on a pitch that was 1.5 foot inside and up by his shoulder blades, and somehow found a way to turn on it and take it yard ski. Legacy-defining moment. And while he's redefining his legacy in a positive way, I think we can all agree now that the greatest football coach of all time, Bill Belichick, has now harmed his legacy for all time with this nonsense in North Carolina.
Absolutely.
They're a complete joke. They stink at football. One, the stuff, with his girlfriend, which is icky to me and disgusting. Like, he actually, during the season, went to Martha's Vineyard, middle of the college football season, for a vacation.
You're not realizing that this is the NFL.
The Hulu stuff that just came out, they were doing a season-long documentary on Carolina football and following Belichick around. That just got scrapped. He no longer talks to any of his friends or family other than the 2 sons of his that are on the Carolina coaching staff. But he is an abject disaster in every possible way, and I would not be surprised if North Carolina fires him after this season. I'm not sure that he earns or gets just on merit a second season at North Carolina. It has been an unmitigated disaster. And while it's hard to throw away or to the side all the NFL success, I think the legacy has now been impacted. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Of course he is. Does he have more rings than any other coach? Is ever going to win? 100%. Can't take that away. But if he had just stopped after that and become a broadcaster, he was pretty good at it, and done all those things around the game of football, legacy firmly intact. But he has absolutely embarrassed himself as a cuckolded 70-year-old, dating a girl that was in elementary school when he won his last Super Bowl championship. Now all the Belichick haters can come out and go, yeah, it was really all about Brady. Maybe you weren't all that great as a head coach. I don't think that's fair, but it's going to give license to people to go out there and say that. But I've lived this with Bill Belichick. I've told this story 1,000,000 times. Once he had success in the NFL, with the New England Patriots as head coach, he disowned everybody and anybody he ever knew prior to that, including his first wife. Kicked her to the curb. And now he's doing the opposite. Anyone that he knew or associated with prior to this strange relationship with his girlfriend has now also been kicked to the curb. And in doing so, I think he has absolutely damaged his legacy. Because if you want to be thought of as the greatest head coach of all time, and that's how we all thought of you, I never bought into the it was Brady, not Belichick nonsense, because I thought it was nonsense. But this has been such a train wreck. And no one said Carolina had to win a national championship this year. But man, you guys go out there and it doesn't look like you know how to play football. And you're not a student to the details and a stickler to the details the way you quite famously used to be. A vacation mid-season? Your girlfriend on the field 5 minutes before kickoff making out with you? Not to mention the weirdness of the age gap and all that. The fact you've now become a cuckolded old man who is throwing his legacy right out the window in his mid-70s. Ugh. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. Period. Stop. You can close off all the doors to your past and pretend like they never existed and those relationships you had never existed. But it's all coming home to roost right now because you've become the laughingstock of all of college football. Like when James Franklin wakes up today, you know what he says? I'm glad I'm not Bill Belichick.
That's right.
That's what he says.
You're absolutely right.
He's a clown himself,
Yeah.
right? But that's the reality right now of how much damage Bill Belichick has done to his legacy. Before we get out of here, LOCK in the USA. It's only the 500th time it's happened in 34 years. But the New York Yankees are now in firm control and will absolutely guaranteed force a Game 5 on Friday. We'll be here to talk about it tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.